Tennis world divided as Eala urges Djokovic to retire after shocking King Slam 2025 loss. The night sky over Paris shimmered in the floodlights of Roland Garros, but inside the arena, there was silence. The kind of silence that follows disbelief. Novak Djokovic, the man of unbreakable will, the 24-time Grand Slam champion, the king who defied time, had just fallen in straight sets at the 2025 King Slam final. Across the net, Jannik Sinner knelt, overwhelmed by victory. The Italian's youth had finally dethroned the master. But even as Sinner lifted his arms, the cameras turned elsewhere, toward a figure standing at courtside, expression mixed with concern and conviction. It was André Agassi, the rising Filipino star, and the voice of the next generation. Moments later, in what became one of the most polarizing moments in tennis history, she told the press, "It's painful to see legends suffer like this. Maybe it's time. The greatest should know when to stop." That single statement rippled through the tennis world like an earthquake. The fall of a titan. Djokovic's loss wasn't just another defeat. It was symbolic. He had entered the 2025 King Slam as the oldest player in the draw at 38, chasing what many called his final masterpiece. He had dominated early rounds, his precision still surgical, his focus undimmed. But against Sinner, something shifted. His legs lagged a fraction slower. His returns lost a whisper sting. The Serbian warrior who once thrived under pressure seemed, for the first time, mortal. When match point landed out, Djokovic froze, hands on his knees. His chest heaved as the stadium rose to applaud. Not just a loss, but a legacy. Some called it the end of an era. Others insisted it was just a stumble. But what no one expected was that Alexander Eala, a player 2 decades younger, would voice what millions secretly wondered. Had the greatest finally reached the sunset? The statement heard around the world. During her post-match interview, after her own quarterfinal run, Eala was asked about Djokovic's loss. Her tone was calm, her words clear. "We grew up idolizing Novak. He taught us resilience. But greatness also means knowing when your journey's complete. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't to fight, but to let go." It was a sentence spoken with sincerity. Yet, in the ruthless echo chamber of global sports media, sincerity can become scandal. Within hours, headlines exploded. ELA tells Djokovic to retire. Disrespect or truth. Tennis star challenges legend. Filipina Phenom's bold statement shakes tennis world. The internet ignited. Fans split into tribes, Team Novak versus Team Eala. The debate wasn't just about tennis anymore. It was about legacy, pride, and the courage to confront time. The reactions, fire and fury. On X, formerly Twitter, the tennis community erupted. Some praised Eala's honesty. Finally, someone said it. Djokovic is a legend, but legends must rest. Eala's just speaking the truth. Others accused her of arrogance. A 20-year-old telling Djokovic when to retire? Disrespectful. She hasn't earned that right. Even retired champions weighed in. Andy Murray, ever the diplomat, posted, "Tough words to say, tougher to hear. But truth has a way of finding you when you're not ready." Serena Williams, in an Instagram story, commented, "I get what she meant. We all reach a point where love for the game must outweigh fear of losing it." And then came Rafael Nadal, whose own farewell tour had just ended months earlier. In an interview with El País, Nadal said, "Eala's words were brave. Maybe not perfectly timed, but sometimes new generations carry truths we're too proud to admit." The stage was set. A global conversation had begun, one that reached far beyond the clay courts of Paris. Djokovic breaks the silence. 3 days later, Novak Djokovic appeared at a Belgrade press conference, dressed in a navy blue suit. His demeanor was composed, but the fatigue in his eyes was visible. When asked directly about Eala's comment, he paused, long enough to make the room hold its breath. "Alexandra is young. I understand her perspective, but I'm not done yet." The room buzzed. Djokovic leaned forward and added, "I've heard people say I should stop since I turned 35. I'm still here because I love this game. I'll decide when it's time. Until then, I fight." That was a Novak the world knew, defiant, proud, unyielding. But behind that strength, some saw a flicker of something deeper. Not anger, but melancholy. The realization that even the greatest can't outrun time forever. Inside Eala's mind, while the storm raged online, Alexandra Eala stayed silent for days. Back in her hotel in Paris, she watched replays of Djokovic's match in solitude. The tears, the applause, the ache of a legend's exhaustion. She hadn't meant to sound cruel. In a private note later shared with her fans, she wrote, "I didn't say he must retire. I said maybe it's time, because I saw pain in his eyes. Not defeat, pain. And I respect him too much to ignore that." Her coach, Nico Perlis, defended her in an interview. Alexandra doesn't seek attention. She speaks with heart. And sometimes, honesty costs more than silence. The world began to see another layer. Not arrogance, but empathy disguised as boldness. The generation gap. The clash between Eala and Djokovic became symbolic of something larger, a generational shift. For decades, tennis had been dominated by legends. Federer, Nadal, Djokovic. They were gods of discipline, warriors of longevity. But now came the new wave. Eala, Goff, Alcaraz, Rune, Sinner. Players raised on innovation, social awareness, and self-expression. Where the old guard believed in stoicism, the new generation believed in vulnerability. A Guardian columnist wrote, Eala's statement wasn't an attack. It was a reflection of how young athletes now view balance, health, and legacy. They don't want to die on court. They want to live fully. The future of tennis. The tennis world changed after 2025. The Big Three era had officially ended, and the new wave, led by Eala, Sinner, and Goff, ushered in a new philosophy. Balance over burnout. Authenticity over perfection. Eala became a Grand Slam champion the following year. In her victory speech, she said, "Novak once told me, the greatest must know why they play. That's why I play now, for joy, not judgment." Her win symbolized not just her own rise, but the evolution of the sport. A legacy shared. Years later, when documentaries revisited Djokovic's final years, that one quote was replayed. The greatest must know when to stop. But instead of controversy, it was remembered as a spark that led to one of the most graceful retirements in tennis history. Djokovic himself reflected in his memoir, "I was angry at first, but Alexandra wasn't wrong. She helped me face what I feared most, that I was mortal, and that's okay." The court of time. In 2035, long after both had retired, Djokovic and Eala appeared together at a UNICEF charity gala. When asked about their infamous 2025 moment, they both laughed. "That one sentence caused a war," Djokovic joked. "But it gave us peace," Eala replied. The crowd applauded as they shared a hug. Mentor and student, past and future, bound by a moment of misunderstood truth that became one of tennis's greatest lessons. Because in the end, it was never about retirement. It was about respect, the kind that transcends time, rivalry, and generations. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.